Okay, to set that up, we need to add a variable to the enemy. So we'll go to the enemy, we'll go to these three dots, we'll left click there, we'll select edit object variables. There's no variables yet, so we're going to select the plus button. We'll name this variable something that's easy to change. So we'll name this RP for random pose. We'll set this to 0, and then we'll select apply. Okay, one of the things we can do to make things easier for ourselves is we can put text over the enemy's head. So I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to move the screen. I'm going to go to this plus button. I'm going to go to text. I'm going to name this text E text for enemy text. I'm going to go to color. I'll change this to a greenish color. I'll select apply. Then I'm going to drag this and put this over the enemy's head. And very similar to what we did before, we're going to go to events. We'll select here to make sure we're highlighted on that whole event. We'll select the plus. We don't want a condition because we want Gdevelop to constantly do what we want it to do, which is modify the text. So we'll go to add action. We'll look for the text object, which is here. And then we'll select modify the text. It's eText. We want this to be equal to. So we'll go to this button here. And what we want is common conditions for all. Since this is an object variable, we'll select variables here. Then we'll select object variable. It is the enemy, and it's that variable there. So then we'll select apply. Then we'll select OK. Okay, with that, now when we select the play button, we should be able to walk over to the enemy. And now you can see the enemy's variable above their head is equal to 0. If you're wondering why the variable over our player character's head moves, it's because we put that on the UI. We're not concerned about doing that as far as the enemy. We're just using it just so we can get those random poses in when we punch the enemy. And when I say it, I mean the enemy's variable. Okay, one of the things we want to do now is make sure that when the enemy is just standing there, that its variable is equal to 0. Pay attention to where we have the animation of this hitbox is finished. Delete the hitbox. This comes right after we punch the enemy. So this is where we want to have our visual code that sets up for the enemy's variable to be equal to 0. So we're going to go to add condition, common conditions for all objects, variables, value of an object's variable, that would be the enemy's. We're going to select the variable, select here, and what we're going to do here is we want this to be greater than 0. Then we'll select OK. Okay, so what we want to do now is when the enemy's variable setting is 0, we want that to play the idle animation. So we're going to go to sprite, animations and images, and then change the animation enemy equal to 0. Okay, the reason why that was important is we want to make sure that the enemy goes back to its idle animation. So with that done, we'll select here. We want to make sure this is highlighted blue, just so we can easily make our new empty event. So we're going to go to add condition, common conditions for all objects. We want to work with the enemy's variable. We'll select value of an object's variable, enemy. We select its variable, select equal to, and then what we're going to do is set this to 1. And then select OK. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to go to add action, sprite, animations and images, change the animation, enemy equal to 1. Okay, so what this basically means is when enemy's variable is equal to 1, the enemy is going to play the animation 1 of its animation. Okay, so now that we have that set up, what we'll do is we'll go up to event to make a new event. We'll right click, select copy, and then we're just going to paste that code for as many as the animations that we want to work with. Okay, and we did that, so we can just easily change these numbers. So this is going to be 2. This is going to be 3. This is going to be 0. So these are going to match. So 1 is with 1 over here. This is going to be 2. 3. 0. Okay, so this says whenever the setting is 1, 2, 3, or 0, the animation it's set for like animation 1, animation 2, animation 3, animation 0, and when I'm saying the numbers, it's the position of the animation. So like typically animation 0 is idle, and that's when we originally put the sprites in. When we first bring them into Gdevelop, you can see those animation numbers. Okay, so currently we have when the collision of the enemy, when the enemy is in collision with the hitbox, it changes to the first animation. What we want to do is set this to be random. So we'll select here. We'll select enemy. And then instead of this 1, we'll go to the blue here. We'll go to common expressions for all objects. We'll go to random. And we want to look for random integer in range. We'll select that. There's 3 animations, so we'll press 1 for the minimum and then 3 for the maximum. Then we'll select apply, and then we'll select apply. Okay, what we want to happen is when the enemy is in collision with the hitbox, we want the variable to change. We have this set for animation, so this needs to be set for the variable of the object. So we'll go to common actions for all variables, modify the variable of an object, empty, change this to RP, equals, we'll do the same thing again, common expressions for all, random integer in range 1, 3, and this just means, you know, between the range of 1 and 3, Gdevelop will randomly go between those animations. Then we'll select OK. Okay, this right here isn't good because this says when something happens, this happens. So as far as change the number of the animation set to 0, we already have this here, so we don't need that. This needs to be put here. This will stop the box from disappearing. So we'll select here, right click, select cut, paste that there. And then here we'll left click there, right click, then select delete. Okay. We'll select here, advanced trigger once. And then here, advanced trigger once. Let's try this and see if it works. So we'll walk over. Okay, and that's obviously not right. Okay, when we look right here, this should be a variable and not an animation. So I'll double click here. We'll go to common actions for all objects, go to variables, modify the variable of an object, select enemy, select the variable, set this to equal to, and then set this to 0. And we'll preview this and see if this works. And now that is working. Okay, what we need to do now is set up so our combo works for our player when you press the C key more than once. So to do that, what we want to do is we want to set things up so that when the player is in collision with the hitbox, the scene variable changes. So we'll go to add action. This time we're going right to variables, not common actions for our variables. And when we go right to variables, we get the scene variable. So this is the variable. And what we want to do is add to this variable. We're going to set this to 2 and then select OK. So what we just did is whenever the hitbox comes in collision with the enemy, +2 will be added to the variable. So now what we want to do is go to here. We want to select add condition, variables, to get the scene variable. And remember, we went just to variables, not common conditions for all objects. If we went there first and then variables, that's how you get to the object of variable. So we want to select combo. And then what we want here is less than, and then we want 50. Okay, so what's going on here is the scene variable. There's 2 variables we've been working with. The scene variable that's on the scene, and then another variable that's on the enemy. We're currently working with the scene variable, okay? The scene variable starts off being equal to 0. Whenever the scene variable comes in contact with the whenever the enemy comes in contact with the hitbox, the scene variable is going to have +2 added to it. This is saying whenever the variable is less than 50, the regular punch is going to come out. So what we're going to do is select here. We can tell this whole event is selected. When I say here, I mean the whole event because it's highlighted blue. You're going to select up to the upper right the button to add a new event. And we're going to right click on the event we were just working on, select copy, left click in this new event, right click, and then select paste. The reason why we're doing this is we want for when we want to change this to when the scene variable is greater than 50, we're going to make our player character go to another animation. So we'll double click here, and then we'll select that combo, and then we'll just change this to greater than, and then we'll select OK. Okay, what we have set up is whenever the enemy comes in contact with the hitbox, +2 will be added to the variable. We need a way to bring the variable back down to 0. So what we're going to do is go to add condition. We're going to just variables so we can get to the scene variable. That's what we want, a scene variable. We're going to select there. We're going to select that variable. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to go to greater than, and then we're going to set this to be 0. And then we're going to set this to OK. Okay, so basically what we're saying here is when the this scene variable is higher than 0, we want something to happen. So we're going to go to add action. We're going to go to variables, scene variable, select that variable. And then what we want to happen is for a subtraction of 1 to happen to that variable. Okay, with all that done, let's see if this works. Up. Wait a second. We need to change this to 3. So now let's see if it works. And see that 0 there? That's going to let us know. Okay, so we're not even getting close to any highness with the number, so let's see, let's add this, turn this to 25. See what happens with this. There we go. Okay, so once we got to 25, we came above. We'll actually set this to 35. Okay. Okay, what we need to set up is we need to set up the animation for 3 to work like what we see here for 2. So when the animation for 2 is played, this goes to 0. So what we can do is left click here, go to the upper right, click the add new event button. We'll select here, right click, select copy, left click here, right click, select paste. Now we'll just change this 2 to 3, and then we'll just left click on something else to lock that in. Okay, so we'll go to the preview button. Now we'll walk over. Okay, and now we can see once we get above 50, we have that punch. However, that punch is kind of slow. So what we can do is go to the beat 'em up combo, creative mode, select player, and this is that punch here. So the normal speed is set for 0.8. We can change this to 0.2, and then with that done, we can select preview. With this is set for preview, what we can do is select replay, then we'll select OK, and then apply. And now I'm going to go back to events. Okay, we'll go up to preview. walk over. Now that punch is much faster. Okay, so what we're going to do is set up for the other animation. So we'll select here, right click, copy, left click, right click, paste, left click, right click, paste, and now we're set up for those other animations. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to change this to 4. We'll change this to 5. And then for here, what we'll do is we'll make this be, we'll try this at 60. We'll try this at 65. Okay, we need to set things up so those poses after they play that they go back to the idle. So we'll select here, right click, copy. We'll left click in this empty event, right click, select paste, right click, select paste. We'll select here. We're gonna set this for 4. Left click to lock that in. We'll select here, and we're gonna set this to 5. Okay, with that set up, we're gonna make sure that this is set to the different animation poses. So we'll set this to 4. We'll set this to 5. And then what we need to do is when this here says the number of the player is 0, we need to set this to here. So we'll set this to 3. I'll left click to lock that in. Then for here, we'll select here. We'll set this to 4. Okay, with all that done, we'll go to the preview. Walk over. Okay, so in editing, I had to go change some things. So this right here, I believe in the last save was already done. Easy enough to set it up again. So basically what is going on here is just making this match up for the animations. I apologize. This should be good now. Okay, with all that done, we'll go to the preview. Walk over. Okay, and he's going through. The uppercut is kind of slow, so what we can do is go to the creative side of things. We'll look to that uppercut, which is here. We'll speed this up. We'll make this 0.2. Select apply. We'll go to events, select the preview. We'll walk over again. There we go. There we go. We can see our combo there. Okay, one of the last things we're going to do is go to our creative mode. We're going to go to our hitbox. You might think that you might want to make this be transparent. You can do that through code. However, if we go to Piskel, what we can do is make a new frame, delete these other frames, and then we'll change the color to like an orangish color. We'll put a dot right in the center. Before we do that, we'll add back the frames so that we have 5 frames. We'll select save, and then we'll select apply. We'll go back to our events. Okay, now we'll go to the preview. So we'll walk over. And now we have our hitbox. It's still there, but it's, for the most part, it's transparent, and we have our dot that will pop up so we can kind of see what's going on. So that looks good. Okay guys, that's it for the tutorial. For all of those of you out there who like the videos on this channel and we share them, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. And for those of you who are new to this channel, if you like the videos on this channel, you would like to see more, please subscribe, and thank you for viewing.